Welcome to part 2.
So I'm jumping all over the place, but so be it, it's stream of consciousness. But this is a large kind of clipboard that my wife made for me. It came actually this size. There was, a much larger surface, but my wife basically cut this down and rounded the corners so that it would match and smoothed it off and stuff. But so I've still got a handle here, and then this is what I take with me and draw on at conventions, but I also do it around the house here if I'm wanting to sit on the couch or something. So I just got a rolling ruler that I don't use it real often, but I keep it here because every once in a while I do need it. And for people who want to know what the roller ruler is for, I mean, you might have seen commercials for it a long time ago. Basically, it just has these two grip wheels that, as you're drawing, you can make parallel lines, a series of pretty precise parallel lines. This is a clipboard that I don't even know. It's called Volts with a Z. How trendy! But it has a clipboard on the surface, and then on the inside has a bunch of room that you can put your own paper, or if you're halfway through working on some commissions or something like these must be. I don't even remember these, but basically you can keep them in here, and that way you're not getting them all scuffed up or something like that. It's got room for additional art supplies that I don't really use that. It's got a spot for a pencil and stuff, but this has been pretty handy. I just recently, my wife got this for me about a year ago or something, so I haven't, it's been good so far. I don't know about the longevity of it because it's so new, but this is back in my convention kit here. This is a really cool compass that my wife found for me online. It looks just like a normal pin, takes up the same space as kind of a thick pin. I'm going to take the lid off here, and it reveals a split. One is the actual needle, which is the anchor, and the other one is the actual pencil tip. So this is good for on the spot, compass whenever you're on the road, so to speak. I'm drawing really large circles. I use this real old bar compass that I've had since I was in high school, and it just has two pieces to it. Attach this, which is the anchor, the needle point, to the bar, and then in this screw-in, you would put whatever you want your writing utensil to be, and then you would just anchor and then draw with the really large bar compass. So with a combination of, this mobile compass, which is the main thing that I use for circles, and then the bar compass, you can get just about any size. Let's see, I also use this circle template. I, again, attached, Velcro to this, but this is probably, for the majority of symbols, if I'm drawing, Robin's R symbol that's in a circle or something like that, I'm using, this smaller template here. Okay, hopefully that's not too spastic for you guys jumping all over the place, but let me get back to the pins. Okay, we were just on the last on pins. We were talking about brush pins, and so let me talk about the best of the brush pens, at least that I've seen. This was recommended to me by some guys at Wildstorm, but it's Japanese, and it says, oh boy, you guys can't see that, Pentel GFKP, Japan, that's all it says. But let's see, it's got a really thin, sort of fine tip to it. This uses an ink cartridge, a refillable ink cartridge, as you can see here. Whenever you order mine's just about out, it looks like, but whenever you order the brush pen, it comes with a couple of refills, but I also carry, we ordered some additional ones, my wife and I, that I carry with me just, at a convention so I can, refill. But and the refill looks like it's a FP10. I don't know if that really matters, but most likely if you're ordering one online, you can get them both at the same time. And since we're on the subject of brush markers, I might as well go over my brushes as well. I have these two collapsible brushes that basically you turn around and you reattach it with the handle so that it makes for a longer handle. And the brand name is Da Vinci. I have no idea. It's been a long time. My wife got these for me a real long time ago, back whenever I was first doing conventions. And I have not ordered any since then, so I don't know if they're still around or whatever. But this, I use a number 3 and also I use a number 3 and a number 4. These are mainly, I just use these for wash. Whenever I'm actually doing real ink wash, not just the sketch and wash. Whenever I'm doing washes, I have a little container that I carry with me that has different levels of ink wash. Basically, it has this 8, which is supposed to be an infinity symbol. That's just pure black India ink. Then I have, H for heavy, L for light, and then M for medium. The 0 is actually white. These are just, so that I don't have to make the wash there on the spot. You can kind of see that, you can see through there. These are watertight containers that I just carry with me. But whenever I'm here at the house, I'll use an I'll use an inkwell. And I guess this is one of my other supplies as, paper plates. Whenever I'm inking, I will keep my inkwell. Sometimes I'll even tape it down to this, but I'll keep it in a small paper plate. That way, or I've actually got a stack here, but that way if I spill any, it's got a well, here, if this were actually to tump over or something, which would be nightmarish. It's actually got, a bit of a rescue here. And also I use the paper plate for whenever I'm testing ink or something, I'll load up my brush, with ink and then just, dab it off here to test the tip or test how much ink I have on the brush. So I think I would actually recommend keeping some of these around. It's like scratch paper. And the type of ink that I use, actually I haven't used this type of ink. I got this well a real long time ago, and I've just been refilling it with, this is the type of ink that I would recommend. This is Kohinoor, and it's good for, repeatiographs that I don't really use anymore, but it's just really, really dense black ink. These are both the same brand here. But I just keep refilling these, the ink well with the Kohinoor ink, and then I use that for, brush or quill. Okay, so for the types of brushes that I use, let's see, Sables are good brushes. This one happens to have a thicker handle here. It's called a Princeton Art Brush, and I use a number 3. It's got a really fine tip. Hopefully you can see that. I wish I could. That's about the best I'm probably going to be able to do to. I also use, this is a slightly larger number 3. It's got a longer brush itself. That this is just from like a craft supply store, but it still gives a pretty good, I wouldn't do fine detail work with this, but I use it to do like medium spot black areas and like nature textures and stuff like that. But what I like about this is it also has a larger grip here when you're inking for a long time. I have a tendency to kind of death grip the brush, which is not good. I wouldn't recommend that. You're supposed to keep a kind of a loose hold whenever you're brush inking. And the same thing with this. It's just got like a bit of a thicker handle that allows for hours of inking with less hand fatigue. I carry with me an old toothbrush to do ink spatter effects. I don't use this a whole lot because it can get really messy, but there's times that you just need a spatter effect, and this is the way to go. Let's see, here's another brush that I use just for filling in large black areas. I'm not even sure the brand of this, but what I liked about it was that it had a chisel tip, so that whenever you're filling in black areas, you can, if you're holding the brush and go, you can give it a really, really thick line, or you can use just the tip to get into the smaller areas. Let's see. Let's talk about, I guess, quills. These are like dip pen nibs. I keep them in this snap case that way I don't lose them, because they are very easily lost. Let's see. The main one that I use is, I believe this is a 102. So I think the brand of this is called, it's a Hunt's Mapping Point, but I'm sure that you can get a number 102 elsewhere, and it would be just as good. Let's see. This is the handle, and the quill just rests in there, and then you just you dip it, and it gives you a line. Let's see. Gives you a really nice line. Basically, these lines here were done with a dip pen with a quill, the 102 specifically. So and speaking of scratch paper from earlier, as you can see, this one's been through hell, but keep lists of stuff on it, and when I'm at a convention, use it to, if you're doing big black areas off the side of the page and stuff. So a page must be sacrificed. Let's see, but make sure, on a side note, make sure that you wash these. As you can see, it's not super washed, but make sure you wash these after every use, because if not, then you'll have a buildup of ink that will it'll rust it faster, and it'll also help to it's hard to see, but there's actually a kind of a split down the middle of the quill that it's hard to tell. It looks like one continuous piece of metal, but it's not. There's a split down the middle of the quill, and the more gunk you get in there, the quicker it'll start to push those two pieces apart. It'll make that gap bigger, and then whenever you do ink lines with the quill, it'll start to have a split in it, which you don't want. So, depending on how much you do quill work is how fast you'll have to replace it, but you don't want to have to replace them faster. So let me not skip over the S and the XS. These are the thinner pens, again, still made by Faber-Castell, and I'm assuming you could probably flip those tips around, but people have asked me, how often do you go through these? I mean, it depends on what kind of work that I'm doing. I will use an XS pen here for most of the facial detail of a face, and if it starts to get dulled at all, then I just get another one, and then I'll relegate this one either to the trash, or I might happen to use it for medium-sized black areas that need to be filled in. My wife, who does ink assist for me sometimes, she keeps like a huge supply of these pens everywhere. I shouldn't say everywhere, but she has a couple of drawers here that are just filled with them. These are microns, actually. Look at the size of this one. Look at the size of this brush pen. We just got this almost like a novelty, but I'm not sure when we'll use them. But let's see, and you can see she has a huge selection of brush. She actually does better brush inking than I do.